Alright, I have been debating on whether or not I should do this video for a while now. I have been wanting to make this, but I haven't really gotten the sort of urge to make it. But seeing as how I don't have any other video ideas, and I have nothing to do at all until college starts, I might as well talk about this subject, seeing as how I do have a lot to say on it. So here we are, a response to BlackCriticGuy's review of Highschool DxD, and some other comments he made on it on his worst anime of 2016 list. Now, before I begin, I just want to say that this is in no way trying to attack the BlackCriticGuy or his reviewing skills in any way. I do not hate him. I'm not unsubscribing from him. I'm still subscribed to him, and I'm looking forward to more reviews from him in the future. I am just making this because I feel he's made some flaws in this review that need to be addressed, and to hope that he doesn't make some of these mistakes in the future. Also, Tony, if you watched in this, then all I can say is, hi Tony, I still like you, please don't hurt me, or say anything bad. Anyways, also, be respectful. If you want to have a discussion on why you think this anime is bad or good, then please go ahead and say it. Don't come here just to comment, oh my god, you're such a perv, go die, this is a shit anime, you dick. Pretty much none of that. No shit talking or name calling or anything will happen here. I will not be tolerating anything of that way. Anything. I can't talk well. Anything of that way. That is not really good sense. Okay, I am stalling. Let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about, which leads into a lot of my points, is your bias against fan service. Now, I'm not complaining that you have a bias alone. Everyone here has a bias for or against something for some reason or another. That's not a problem. The problem is that you let it consume you and too much of your review. It takes up too much time and you put too much focus on it. Now, to put it simply, there are three things wrong with your handling of it in this review. First, you become so focused on that part of your ranting that you don't cover some of the other points as well as you should have. To put it simply, it consumes your thinking. Second, with your current line of thinking and reviewing this show, if you continue with this in the future with ecchi anime, then you won't ever be able to understand why people like these types of shows. And third, you don't even touch on big parts of the show that need to be addressed. Now, an example of this third problem is the comedy of the show. You never talk about it, despite it coming with a lot of the fan service moments and being another reason as to why a lot of people like this anime. It's really funny. Also, pretty much the only thing you really mention that people like this anime for is having a story. And that's really all you mention it for. That's about it. You don't even talk about the comedic parts of the show at all. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tony gave it a 1 out of 5. Of course he didn't like the comedy. Now, that's possibly true, but that doesn't give him the right to just not address it at all. Tony, you could easily say, the comedy sucks, and here's why. And even give a good counter-argument to the people who actually think the show is funny. Give a good rebuttal to that. That could be something good for your review. Overall, this is a big missed opportunity that really should have never happened. You should have covered this. Another thing you should have talked about more is the story and building a rebuttal to those of us who really like the story. All you really do is say that our opinions are laughable and that the story is average. First off, it's a little insulting to have my opinions laughed at instead of being respected, which is what a critic should do. And secondly, you really need to go further into detail as to why the story isn't that good. I don't buy what you're saying. Just saying that the story is average isn't good enough, and you don't provide enough evidence to back your claims. This doesn't make a good counter-argument. Now back to my second problem. I know that a lot of people have already said that you don't understand why people like shows like these. Well, to some extent, you really don't. Pretty much, you are being way too critical over the show's story, and you aren't focusing enough on the enjoyment factor of the show. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be critical of the show's story at all. I'm just saying you have too high of expectations for stories and characters. An anime that's not trying to be incredibly fucking deep. Not every show has to have a fucking amazing story with insane amounts of character development. You should know this by now. You've been reviewing for years. You should know that not every show has to be this deep. I mean, you like Teen Titans Go, for fuck's sake, which is one of the dumbest shows out there. Now, that's not just an insult, that's a fact. Especially when the people behind the show outright state that it's stupid. And you enjoy this. You should know that there is an enjoyment factor for stupid comedy. I mean, there's room for it. And that's one of the big factors as to why a lot of people like ecchi anime like this one. And one thing that I love about Highschool DxD is that it's obvious that the people behind the show are self-aware of all of this, and they embrace that factor. They try to be as over-the-top as possible and do it for comedy. And if you can't understand that aspect of enjoying these shows, then you will have a hard time trying to understand why people like ecchi anime with a lot of comedy and fan service in the future. And an example of this is if you end up watching Monster Musume in the future. Now, if you judge it as critically as you did in Highschool DxD, then not only will you think it's complete shit, but you will completely miss the point of what the show is trying to do. All it's trying to be is a dumb comedy with less story than Highschool DxD, but the same amount of fan service. And it's what I consider to be a guilty pleasure anime to be. Not Highschool DxD, this is what I consider it to be. Just completely stupid and just really funny. And as for the story of Highschool DxD, for me, an ecchi anime should at least have a story that gets the job done. I don't expect Attack on Titan levels of story. If the story can be somewhat interesting and be pretty decent with very few plot holes, then I think it's good enough. Just having that puts this anime ahead of a lot of shitty ecchi anime out there. Also, just a small thing, but when I try to figure out your opinions, I'm left kind of confused, and I'd like you to help me clarify this a little bit, Tony. For example, how can you really like High School of the Dead, Prison School, and the generic as hell asterisk war, yet put this anime on the same level as that shit show that is Girls Bravo, despite High School DxD having better animation, and better characters, and better story, and better humor, and pretty much being better every sense of the word. Next, there's the issue of one of your points that you put focus on that could have been developed a lot better, and not have been made so easily to be counter-argued. I'm talking about how you thought some of the characters did 180s in their personalities. First, you talk about Issei and question how he can go from being a pervert fantasizing about girls, but in another scene he ends up timid or shocked when they're actually in front of him. The one scene you mention is at the end of the first episode when he sees that Rias is laying in his bed naked. Now, this is probably the first time, it is the first time that he's seen a girl naked and up close to him before, and she's one of the most popular girls in his school. Who wouldn't be shocked? Also, his parents were home, so you won't want them finding out about this. It's not something you'd like them to know about. Also, he's a fucking teenager. Probably still going through puberty. At that age, most guys don't know how to handle their feelings yet. They may talk a big game, but when they are presented with a situation like this, they don't know what to do or how to handle it. It doesn't make him a different character. This isn't that hard to think of. And in my opinion, this makes Issei a little more realistic and relatable than a lot of other bland harem protagonists out there. Also, that's another reason why people like this show. We think Issei is a very enjoyable character to see. Now, I agree with Anime America's review, when she said that High School DxD would be a lot worse off without Issei, and it would. He brings a lot of energy and enjoyment to the show. Then there's the mentioning of Asuya in your review. Now, you claim that it's out of character of her to be innocent in one scene, but then when she sees Rias doing something sexual near Issei, she ends up wanting to be with him. To put it that simply. Now, there's this one thing that I'm not sure you know of. It's called jealousy. Now, she wants to be with Issei, and when she sees Rias doing something like that, she gets jealous, and she doesn't really think things through. That's what happens when you get jealous. The joke is that she's so innocent she isn't really aware of what she's doing. And personally, I find her to be pretty funny and kind of cute during these scenes. Nah, don't really have much else to be said about that point. I just felt like it needed to be addressed. Now, all of these things I mentioned throughout this whole video could easily be thought of if you just put a little more thinking into it, instead of just not looking into it and just bashing it for what it is. Also, you really formed your points kind of poorly and left them to be counter-argued too easily, and you let your bias against fan service consume you too much. These are the biggest problems with your review. Now, I'm hoping that you take some of this advice seriously and not make some of these mistakes in any future anime reviews later this year. Okay, so overall, your review for Highschool DxD was kind of flawed. Now, originally, I didn't like it, but I was just gonna let it be as it is. You disagree with me? Okay, I respect that. I was gonna move along. I wasn't gonna make a video on it that I'm doing right now. So why the hell am I doing this? Well, pretty much from your top 10 worst anime that you saw in 2016 and what you said during the Highschool DxD portion of this. Now, it's not just because Highschool DxD was on the list. I knew it was gonna be there based on his review. But what really fucking irritates me is your handling of the opposing opinions. How you pretty much dismiss all the positive opinions and calling them ludicrous, how we're lowering standards of anime and all that other bullshit. Seeing that whole section of that video makes me feel like you're calling me a goddamn retard for liking the show more than a fucking guilty pleasure. Now, before anyone says anything about this, I know he probably wasn't trying to do this, he was just venting. But, with how angry you got, and with some of your wording, it definitely feels like that's what you're implying. It doesn't help that you say that I have low standards, pretty much, based on just liking this fucking ecchi anime. Oh my god. This is the last thing you want to do during counter-argument. You never want to make it seem like that you're insulting the opposing side. Like you're just pretty much giving them a middle finger to them. Because this makes you a lot less credible as a good critic. If you have to resort to pretty much bashing the other side, then why the hell should we trust your fucking opinions? Okay, let's see how you like it. I know that you like Teen Titans Go. I hate it. Now, normally I respect your opinion, but with how you've reacted to the positive side of Highschool DxD, I feel the need to show you what it feels like. I think that anybody above the age of 10 who likes Teen Titans Go is a fucking moron. It is ludicrous to think that anybody could like such a stupid comedy. If anybody tries to defend that fucking show and you're over the age of 10, then I'm just gonna laugh in your face. And by liking this show, you're lowering the standards for what a good comedy can be. Does that seem like something that you like? Probably not. If I was really serious about this, then you would probably be fucking pissed too. Okay, I'm sorry that I got so angry. I've never gotten that angry in a video before. I guess I'm just trying to vent. Like, I've been holding in for weeks now, and hey, if Tony was allowed to vent in his videos, then I should be able to do that too. Anyways, I'm just gonna finish off by saying this. No matter how much you disagree with the other side's opinion, no matter what it is, you can debate on it, but you should, in the end, still respect their opinion. Which, during this video, Tony, it felt like you don't respect us at all. Like, you can't take much criticism against you. And that's something that you really need to work against. You really need to work on. Learning the difference between trolling and constructive criticism is another thing that does seem like you need to work on, because it feels like you're not really looking into the other side that well. And I will just finish by saying that no matter how ludicrous this sounds to you, I still think Highschool DxD is a good anime, and I am looking forward to Season 4. Even if the show has a few flaws, I still enjoy it. And in the end, I will respect your opinion, so I hope you learn to respect mine. That's all I have to say. Now, I hope you guys thought this video was good enough. Hope it doesn't backlash against me. So, I would like to end by asking you guys, what do you think of this show? Do you love it or hate it? And what do you think about this whole situation with the Black Critic Guy? I'd like you to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys some other time, hopefully when I'm a lot happier.